Ladies and gentlemen, Warzone 2 has been out for a little while now, and with it I've been playing solo, I've been playing with friends, and I've been doing so to kind of get an overall opinion on what I think of Warzone 2 and what my opinions are on the game thus far. And I must say, there is both sides of it. There is parts that I really enjoy and parts that are really bad, and I think what it comes down to is polish. Warzone, the previous Warzone, was out for 3 years, and with that they got a lot of time to perfect a lot of things, and a lot of those things that they perfected are now gone within Warzone 2, so the game feels a little bit void of some of those things. One thing to mention is sound. When someone self-revives, there is no sound to know whether or not that has happened, and of course that's a problem. It's a lack of information. Little things like that missing from the game cause big problems, and when they add up, there's definitely a void within Warzone 2. So basically within this video, I'm going to give you the good things I like about the game, the bad things, and specifically when we talk about those, how they can be improved. So essentially, these are just my honest opinions on Warzone 2 or 2.0. But before we dive into that, let's have a look at different shirt Inkslasher for today's video sponsor. A lot of you may not know this, but I am actually officially a Lord. That's what this certificate says. And that is thanks to today's sponsor, Established Title. Now, if you don't know what Established Titles is essentially they're a fun and novel way to help preserve the natural woodlands of Scotland and help global reforestation effort. You see, way back in the day, it was a Scottish custom that anyone who owned land was considered a laird, or lord and lady in English. And what Established Titles does is if you go to their website and buy one of the packs, it can give you a 1 square foot plot of land in Edelston, Scotland, therefore making you a lord or a lady, and it comes with that certificate that I showed you earlier. Now on that certificate, it shows you a unique plot number, which is the location of your land. And for the first 200 people that use my link down below and purchase a plot of land, you'll essentially be right next to me, making us neighbors. We can have our own Inkslasher kingdom. Now, when you do this, you can then change your name on things like plane tickets, credit cards, things along those lines. Personally, my girlfriend still won't call me that, but hey, I'm still trying. And to make things even better, when you buy a plot of land with Established Titles, they plant 1 tree and trees for the future to help support future global reforestation efforts. So if you would like to become a lord or a lady, click that first link down in the description, go to Established Titles, and if you use coupon code Inkslasher at checkout, they're doing a Black Friday sale, so that's going to allow you to save 10% on your order. They work great for yourself, for a friend, or as a last-minute gift idea if you don't know what to get someone. So click that link down below, become a lord or a lady, and thank you Established Titles for sponsoring the video. So we're going to start out with the main things that I enjoy about Warzone 2 and then move into some other smaller details. I've tried to limit them down to kind of my biggest opinions on the game and overarching opinion and not focus too much on the nitty-gritty. So as far as the great things, the best thing and the thing that I probably have seen the most on social media is proximity chat. Proximity chat may be the greatest thing added into Call of Duty in a very long time. Yes, it can be annoying when someone has an incredibly loud mic or is saying some not so great things, but other than that, it is a lot of fun and adds a whole new mechanic to the battle royale. Instead of just running headstrong into a gunfight, you can have a little conversation first and try to sort things out with your enemies, or you can betray them or do something else altogether. Proximity chat has to be one of the best improvements within Warzone 2, if not the very best. On top of that, the map. I actually really enjoy this map. There's a few areas where I think the elevation is a little bit too high or a pain to get through, or if you have high ground, you have a ridiculous advantage. But overall, the map feels really good, and I think they did a very good job of it. The buildings, there's many ways to get in and out of them, and it's a good way to counteract campers, but of course, it's Call of Duty. Campers are still absolutely a problem. And the next best thing after proximity chat, I think, is actually the gunplay. One thing that I think is good about the guns in this game is when I pick them up off the ground, I still feel powerful. I don't feel like I need a loadout to do well in the game, and I think that's a really big improvement over the first Warzone. I don't know whether that is weapon balance or what exactly the reasoning behind that is, but it definitely feels different in that way. Now, there are some problems with loadouts, and I will talk about that one in a minute, but as far as like the weapon tuning and how you can tune attachments to make them feel unique, I think is absolutely amazing and adds even more depth to the game. The reason why I don't have a video out on the best loadouts or best weapons is because I'm still fiddling around trying to figure out what I actually think is the best, but as soon as I figure that out, of course I will bring you guys a video on that. But Needless to say, the guns feel really, really good. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about, I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, and I think it's a very big thing, not just for Warzone 2, but for video games in general. It is very clear that Warzone is not developed for solo players. It is very hard to play in the solo playlist, and if you want to play DMZ for that matter, playing solo is very, very difficult. It is clearly designed to play with people. And a couple of reasons why I think that is first of all, the time to kill feels really, really fast within Warzone 2. I feel like I melt people incredibly fast, and they melt me incredibly fast as well. With that, in a lot of gunfights you get into in Warzone 2, especially in solos, it just feels like you don't have a chance. For example, what am I supposed to do here? Now, of course, you could argue and say, oh, I should have had a UAV up, I could have used a heartbeat sensor, but that guy was camping his ass off in a corner with a bouncing Betty that I didn't know was there, and even avoiding the bouncing Betty, he one-shotted me with a shotgun. There is not a lot of options for me to prevail within that situation. On top of that, other things like bomb drones just immediately eliminate you and are very difficult to take down, so things like that make playing solos very hard. DMZ is a different story, there's just lots of AI, and playing solo is very difficult because of that, but that's a whole other story and a topic for a whole different video. Needless to say, I think for a game to do really well, it has to be playable solo. A lot of people play video games alone and not necessarily with friends, and that is very difficult to do in this game. I think the easiest way to make it a little bit better is just increase that time to kill a little bit, give people a little bit more of a chance, but what I will say is self-revives do help this out, and I have found a lot of them when playing solo. My biggest complaint about Warzone 2 right now has to be crashes. The game crashes constantly. Every once in a while I get put on a flip book and it just performs very poorly. Just that lack of optimization. Last night I think I played about 10 games with friends, and inside of that I think 5 to 6 of them, at least one person on our team crashed. It may have even been more than that, and that makes the game very unplayable and very frustrating, especially when they're focusing on playing with friends. That has to be fixed, and that has to be on the top of their priority list. Now, loadouts. Loadouts is one that is not necessarily a bad thing and not necessarily a good thing. The loadout system is completely different now. You can get loadouts by either buying a primary weapon at a buy station, or you can complete a stronghold and get a loadout that way, or you can wait for the community one to drop in. Now, one problem I have with the community one is that once one person grabs the loadout, could be on your team, could be on a different team, that little logo disappears and they are very difficult to find if you don't mark them on your map. So I think that needs to be improved. Maybe just make the logo last a little bit longer, just to make it so that they're easier to find. But they also come in very late into the game, and sometimes it takes a while to actually get your loadout in game. Now, I'm not totally against that because this forces people to use ground loot a little bit more, and I do like that aspect to it. So I'm not totally against the new loadout system. Now, another thing that people have talked about with the loadout system is the perks. So you can't currently custom make your perk package for Warzone. This is something that I'm actually not against. And the reason why I say this is it stops people from using just the same perks every single game. If you want to use overkill, you have to use certain perks that come with overkill. It makes it less overpowered, and I actually like that aspect to it. So if there's one thing I want to hear your comments on, what do you think of having custom perk packages or not within Warzone 2? I actually kind of currently enjoy the way that it is as of now. The next new addition that is absolutely god-awful is the 2v2 gulag. Now, there are some fun moments with it. When I die with a teammate and we go into the gulag together and we can communicate and fight against 2 other players, that is fun. The problem is when you get put in there with a completely random person, it just doesn't make any sense. Either they're very, very bad or you're bringing back an enemy. I just don't see the reason for 2v2 gulag unless you are doing it with teammates. So if you get in a gunfight and you're playing quads and you and your teammate go down and 2 enemies on the other team go down and they throw you all into the gulag and you fight 2v2, I don't mind that. It's when you're put in there with a random, I just don't really enjoy it whatsoever. And then finally, we have the looting system. So the looting system, in my opinion, isn't the best. It takes too long. People's death bags, you have to go through them, select individual things. Sometimes you can't grab the right thing. Sometimes it's just really annoying to pick things up off the ground, or you can't pick them up off the ground. This definitely needs to be improved just for an overall quality of life improvement and to speed up the game in general. I don't mind the backpack system, but it has to be way more fluent, and I really think that when people die, it should just drop all of their stuff on the ground. It is way quicker to go through and pick up the things you want that way. That's just my opinion. You can let me know what you think down in the comments. So there's a ton of other little nitty-gritty things, like no self-revive noise, no noises from chests or anything like that. Just strange things that were in Warzone 1 or were fixed in Warzone 1 that aren't quite there within Warzone 2. And I think the reason for that is for most of Warzone 1, it was worked on by Raven, and then Infinity Ward took over this one, and they just kind of missed some of the things that Raven improved on. But here's what I will say, and here's my overall opinion on Warzone 2 or Warzone 2.0. I strongly believe that this has the ability to be a better game than the original Warzone. Some of the biggest things they need to focus on right now are really fine-tuning that loadout system, stopping all of these crashes, fixing the gulag, and I think they definitely need some sort of rebirth map implemented as well, because that was such a big thing within Warzone 1. Now, I don't think it necessarily has to be rebirth, but that kind of style of map is more so what I'm talking about. Those are my opinions as of right now. I am really enjoying it. I would love to hear what you guys think down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, always appreciate it if you hit that like button, subscribe, turn notifications on to stay up to date on all my videos, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace out.
We are real.